Hello everybody and welcome to video number 134 from Clydebridge station. With me starting to take up the track in the station area so I can actually relay it and eventually use the correct size ballast and make it look a hell of a lot better, there won't be any trains running for a little while, so this is quite a rare opportunity for the next 2 or 3 months. I'll have these 2 trains running in the depot, or 2 locomotives, and they're 2 recent purchases from eBay. One came DCC ready and the other came DCC fitted, and I'll explain about them shortly. Both are Bachmann examples and both are carrying the liveries that reflect the time period my layout is set in. What I'll do is I'll get each loco in, we'll do it one at a time, and we'll run it onto this road here. And we've got a friendly depot worker, Derek, here, who'll wave the locomotive in, and I'll tell you about each of the 2 locomotives. Now, this won't be a definitive history of the real ones. When I do my fleet review series, and I'll start that later this year, I'll do that then, but I'll provide, where I can, a brief synopsis of each locomotive. So we'll get in and get started with the first one to arrive, 47828. Now, in my opinion, this is the best livery a Class 47 has ever carried, though I know people disagree on that one, but this is 47828, and she was purchased on eBay from KJB Models, who were selling this locomotive as part of a collection that they'd been asked to sell on behalf of a family. Now, I don't know the full circumstances of it. KJB Models, very famous model shop in England, and excuse me, I'll tell you something else that they're involved in just before the end. But this is the Intercity Swallow livery that it carries. And if I just get the locomotive up a minute for you, and you can actually see here how white that band is compared to a Vitrains model, which is a bit greyer. And this actually is a new tooling. This is the new Bachmann tooling, the present Bachmann tooling as of 2024. Now, she's quite a good runner, and although I've not had her fully tested yet on a passenger train, I can tell you that this locomotive will be one of the locomotives used for testing the new track laid down in the station later this year. The tops of the roof, the rooftop, as you can see here, we've got the fans there. I believe they're operational, and we've also got the superb detailing of the bogies there, which are all black in this instance. But you can also see the correct long-range fuel tanks that the locomotive carries as well. Cab aerials fitted at both ends. The locomotive is not sound fitted, it's only DCC normal fitted, and that was done by Chris at Scooney Hobbies in Kirkcaldy, although his dad Jim put the body back on. I should make that very clear. Now, to actually contrast that machine, I'm going to just get from underneath in a couple of minutes 47834 Firefly, and that'll let you see a contrast in the 2 locomotives. This was actually a later addition to the Intercity Swallow ranks, being the early 1990s, when it actually got the livery. It had ran previously in large logo blue as 47629 and carried that as 47828 originally. Locomotive still exists today, the real one, you'll be pleased to hear, so that's a good sign, that. But what can I say about it except it's a superbly detailed machine, and just try and get a camera into there. I don't know how well it picks it up, but you can actually just see that above the fuel tanks they've got some orange conduit there. The locomotive data panel correctly positioned there, as you can see next to the number. Over here, sprung buffers. Now I haven't got the lights on at the moment, I won't be doing that today, but you can see there the two ends of the locomotive are captured correctly. One thing to note is that it's actually got different style lens covers. It's got these plastic ones on one end, and it's got the rubber grommet ones on the other end, and that was a common feature with some 47s that they had that done at either end, and you'll see that on 47573 shortly as well. I don't know why that happens sometimes, but it just was. Now, in contrast to the 47573, which you'll see next, this is presented as a pristine model, clean, exactly how the railways should be, and exactly how I'm sure Intercity wanted these locomotives to be. One thing I have noticed about the locomotive, and I don't know if you can actually pick it up here, and it's something that's not present on the Vitrains example, are these little black squares here, and there's one there as well. I'm looking at the Vitrains example. I have 47844, and I do not see them present, but I do see them present on the Bachmann example of 47834, and also interestingly present on 47475. Now, if anybody knows what they're actually all about, could they please mention that in the comments below? I'd be very interested to find that out. But a very good machine, this. As I say, she'll get a proper test in 2 or 3 months' time when we'll have phase 1 of the station rebuild track done. But just before we move on to 47573, I'll get the 47834 up just for a minute so you can have a quick look at the comparison between the two machines. Well, there we go, there's 47834 Firefly, 47828 to give you the comparison between now. The first thing that's noticeable to me immediately is the white band here. The larger white band is a lot whiter than that one, and also, and I don't know how well the camera picks this up, but the grey executive band here is a little bit lighter than what it is on this one. So you might just be able to pick it up there. The Intercity branding on both locos looks to be the correct size, because it was slightly different sizing depending upon which loco you're modelling. One thing I have also noticed about this is that the way that the cab aerial is put in on both locomotives is exactly the same. You can put it up, but it's a small thin part there. Small thin part. I'm referring to the triangular part, of course. The yellow looks to be a little bit crisper on 828 compared to 834. And once again, these little rectangles, there's only one in position yet. Again, let me know what they're all about. I have to admit one thing, the bogies look very different indeed between the two machines. So it's a matter of personal taste, but I do prefer the bogies that we see on 834 compared to 828. Although I will say this, the bogies in 834, the wheels have got the white walls on them, which is something that I always liked on locomotives. And it certainly brightened up the machine a bit. But as I say, the bogies are of a slightly different design there on 828. I don't know how well the camera picks that up. But nothing wrong with the machine, nothing wrong with it at all. This is the previous Bachmann tooling, this is the present Bachmann tooling, and technology's moved on in a few years. And there's just the contrast for the roof foray between the two networks of Intercity machines. This one here, the mesh on here is a little bit thicker than what it is, it's a little bit finer on there so you can see the fans. But as I say, there's no problem with either machine, but it does show you that when we're on about technology improving model railways, and how we're on about the technology being able to improve the features that we can get on locomotives now, it's incredible to think that it's also went possibly into the paint application too. But as I have to admit, both are very good machines, and I'm pretty sure that both will provide sterling service at Clydebridge station in the years to come. So that's the Intercity machine, which I've purchased from KJB Models on their eBay page. Just before we carry on to the next locomotive, I just want to a little quick plug for something that KJB Models do support, and they actually host a rail cam at their shop at Hensall, which looks out onto the level crossing on the line at Hensall. To view that rail cam, go to railcam.uk, and I believe it's one of these supporter cams where you have to pay an annual subscription to view it. There's a handful of cameras that are free, but you need to pay an annual subscription to see them all, and I actually do admit I am a supporter of Railcam. There is an excellent chat room in there as well. I'll put the link to Railcam in the description below, and the KJB Models website as well in the description below, so you can have a check it out. And please, it's Hensall Cam. But could I just make one request to people? Whilst the shop welcomes your custom, this is associated more with cameras that are set in people's gardens or private premises, is to not try and go and climb into areas or go into gardens and that and view and look at the camera sites, or even for that matter to go and contact the people asking to go into the site. They may have second thoughts about hosting if you do that. If you want to view the Railcam location, view it on Railcam. But KJB Models will welcome you into the shop to buy things, I'm pretty sure of that. So what do you prefer, 828 or 834? Let me know in the comments box below. We'll get these machines put back into their positions, and we'll get in 47573. Now, those of you who do follow the channel will know that I've got two Network South East liveried machines on the layout already, 47701 and 47715, which both carry the revised scheme, first introduced in 1987. That differs from the scheme that you see here, which was the original Network South East livery, unveiled to the public on the 10th of June 1986, and the main difference between them was that the blue is lighter, and we've got the upsweeps of the stripes on the locomotives. Not something carried on coaching stock, local haul coaching stock, but it was carried on multiple units at the unit ends. Network South East, as I say, was launched on the 10th of June 1986, and that dates this locomotive to exactly that date or onwards. It carries the name the London Standard, and it was actually named on the 9th of June 1986 at London Liverpool Street Station. However, it only had the BR logo, not the Network South East branding. The newspaper editor, I can't remember his name, was there along with NAC Sector Director Chris Green. Now, there's a funny story about this before I explain the actual story of the Bachmann loco you see here, because 47573 was named, as I say, without the branding, and the banner above the curtain said Operation Pride, which was Network South East, well, Chris Green's brainchild to improve services in the London and South East area, which resulted in this rebrand. But a couple of model locomotives, double gauge ones, were also present. They actually had the Network South East branding, so you got to a little preview of it. But this locomotive was back at Liverpool Street the next evening with the NAC branding to haul a train from Liverpool Street to Cambridge. Carrying the name London Standard, this is a Bachmann example, but it's not a renumbering. It wasn't actually originally this, it was actually 47576, but the eBay seller actually changed the body. So he's put this body on to the chassis, and that's why we've got 47573 here instead of 47576. It's a Bachmann example. It's been weathered, and I very rarely have weathered locomotives on my layout, but this is an exception. I've also got 47706 as a weathered loco too. The locomotive was purchased on eBay DCC fitted, and it was a bargain price, about £90 odd I paid for it in the end, having held off one other bidder to get it. And you can see here the bogies, how they differ to 47828 again. We've got the white wheel walls, which is something I'm always a great fan of. And the locomotive also, interestingly, at one end has one of these, I don't know how well the camera can pick it up, but it's a little hook. It's a little hook coupling rather than actual normal NEM coupling. I'm going to leave that on because I think that'll actually be quite suitable for managed hauling just 3-coach trains. The locomotive has been, I say, superbly weathered. A little bit of stain in there, but nothing to write home about. The NSC livery correctly depicted, and a very good seller as well. He was actually selling quite a few things on his eBay shop, and he was putting them on his Twitter feed originally. And you can see here, with it being a previous Bachmann tooling, how thick the roof grills are. One other mention about this locomotive 47573 was it was one of a handful of Class 47s that went under ETS conversion and only needed the changing of one digit. 572 to 575, 47572 to 47575 were previously 47172 to 47175. So it was very coincidental that they should only be needing to get one digit, and I suppose very handy as well. I'll just bring in one of my other 47/7s in the NAC livery, just so you can get a little contrast between the two of them, and then you can tell me what livery you prefer. There we go, you can actually now see the difference between the two styles of NAC livery. This being the original and this being the revised. 47573 never ever wore the revised livery. It carried this livery from the 9th of June 1986, and it later gained the Rail Express Systems red and grey with blue flashes livery. So it was never painted into the revised livery you see here on 47715 Haymarket. But the differences are obvious. No upstripe stripes, darker shade of blue. Although coaching stock was actually painted in the lighter shade of blue still. I don't know why they never painted the coaching stock into a darker shade of blue, but that'll all be lost in the midst of time. And again, you can just see how the weathering is actually what is done to the locomotive compared to Haymarket, which is a pristine model. By the way, Haymarket itself, this one came also from eBay, and from the eBay shop of another Yorkshire retailer, Rails of Sheffield. Do check out one of their employees, John JMC, here on YouTube, who has a layout called Westmoreland. It's worth having a check out of that. His channel, John JMC. Now, I was mentioning earlier on 47828 having 3 black rectangles. Now, if you look on Haymarket, those black rectangles are not there. One would have been there, one there, and one there. They're not present, and they're also not present on 47573. So again, I'll throw the question open: what are those black rectangles meant to represent? Do please tell me. Also, one other thing to note as well is that the BR logo is present on the Network South East branding. Originally on the revised livery, the NSC logo, the British Rail logo was there with the NSC branding. It was from 1990 that NSC stopped using the BR logo on their locos and publicity. But 47573 did carry the BR logo at all times, and indeed I'm led to believe that the BR emblem was always present on locomotives in the original NSC livery. It was present on some in the revised livery, not present on others, and 47714 actually had its BR logo removed. There you go then. So that's your two Bachmann 47s, 47828 Intercity Solo, 47573 Network Southeast Original. Now the next video you're going to see on this YouTube channel is not going to be from my layout, it's going to be from Model Rail Scotland, where I'll be purchasing a few things to go on the depot area and other places as well. And in addition to all of that, we'll also be hopefully seeing a few layouts and speaking to a few people at the show. And then after that, it'll be another modelling idea video where I'll be taking you to the seaside. We'll be going to Skegness for my next modelling idea video before we come back and we make progress on. It's a job I've been dreading, but it's a job that now needs to be done. We've got the wrong size ballast here, so it's time to rip this ballast up, rip this track up and get new stuff down. And it'll be as part of a plan that will also see more new platform surfacing coming in. I mean, come on. This is not the Leaning Tower of Clydebridge either, I can assure you that. So that's what's going to be happening, and you'll see these locomotives all running again at Clydebridge station in a few months' time. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and I shall see you very soon. In the meantime, whatever you're doing, do please take care of yourselves, won't you, and enjoy your lates, and we'll see you soon. Bye bye for now.